thank you, everyone, for coming with Ms. Rorowski out unfortunately sick. I will be acting chair for the meeting this evening. We will run through all of the agenda items with the sole exception being new business host community agreement. I will be stepping aside and not voting as it is a client of mine, and Mr. Lancet will take care of the new business. Would you all join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a relatively short and easy agenda this evening. We will start with the minutes from the regular meeting of February 27th.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, I just broke Pete's pen and I feel bad.
That's okay.
You gotta break that little tip off.
Oh, you do have to break the tip off.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes from February 27th? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Well, if there was just one, I thought when we were talking about the town clerk's position, I thought there were two nays.
Hold on,
I thought Bashas was a nay as well.
hold on, where are we, Steve?
No, I think that, no, I think Basha was in favor.
I believe you're correct. I'm trying to find what number that is.
Oh, I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought there were three yeas and two nays to move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was me, you, and Basha. Oh, no, no, wait a minute.
I know that Mr. Lancet and I were both no's.
Oh, for the town clerk to
Yeah.
make it, yeah, it was Pete, I, and David said to wait until next year.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
So-
then Basha and I were both nays.
correct.
So this one says I was the only nay. It's minor. but-
No, it's important.
Okay, so we will ask to approve with a correction?
Yeah, someone,
Okay. So is there a second to approve the minutes with a correction on that vote to show Ms. Rorowski voting along with Mr. Coronis as a nay?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or corrections?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Right. Steve, nice catch on that. I didn't,
that?
that's a nice catch. I didn't even see
Yeah,
it.
it's, we can get into, we're certainly gonna get into that later, but.
No,
We don't need to.
No, like I said, that's a nice catch.
All right. Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. We will now move on to community relations announcements and open forum.
Good evening. I have the Board of Selectmen meeting announcements for March 12th, 2024. The Charlton Cemetery Department will begin its annual spring cleanup on Monday, April 1st, 2024. All winter baskets, pots, and decorations must be removed before this date. Any items left behind will be removed and discarded by the cemetery department personnel. Seasonal items may be replaced on the lots after April 14th, 2024. On Saturday, March 16th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Dexter Hall, Cornerstone Quilting Guild will host their second annual National Quilt Day exhibit and demonstration. All are welcome to attend. No registration is required. The room will be filled with many quilts and ongoing demonstrations of quilting techniques that highlight the diverse world of quilting from traditional to modern to contemporary. And going on all month, our Friends of Charlton Public Library Quilt Fundraiser. Stop by the library to see beautiful quilt donations by Cornerstone Quilting Guild. Tickets are available at the adult circulation desk. Drawings will be held on April 1st. All proceeds go to the Friends of the Charlton Public Library, who support many programs and services at the library.
Thank you. Is there anyone here for open forum? Anyone online, Andrew? No. All right, if there's no one here for open forum, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is appointments and resignations. The first appointment we have is for a police officer. Mr. Golis?
Attaches a request from Human Resource Director Lynn Dyer, Police Chief Dowd, recommending the appointment of Eric McNeely as a new police officer for the town of Charlton. 19 applications were received and interviews offered to 7. I recommend the board make the appointment.
Thank you, Andrew. Chief?
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Eric McNeely. Eric lives in town. He's
Hi,
been a
Eric.
police officer for approximately 9 years in Southbridge and is a U.S. Army veteran. I only deducted 1 point for being in the Army. So, any questions for Eric?
Where'd your family go?
What's that, sir?
Where'd your family go?
I think my daughter's being a little loud, so you might step down.
That's nothing, bring him on in. This is a big deal for you.
Oh,
She
loud,
can't be
loud
louder-
is, loud
she
is
can't be
better.
louder than Bill Borowski.
Yeah, when we start talking budget, then we'll get in.
Get him.
Yeah. So while we're waiting,
I was just saying, while we're waiting, I was just gonna say, well, thank you for the interest in Charlton. Thank you for your service, which makes you stand apart from Dan Dowd. Just, no, I love Dan. But no, I would say welcome, maybe a little early, but people know my feelings about Charlton PD. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best department in the state, if not the northeast of the country. We have the best personnel here, and you're joining a great team.
But which I'd add it, that you had 17 candidates, so that's an admiration on its own. There are a lot of people that
We're
don't.
very fortunate in this time to have qualified applicants apply, so I'm blessed in that sense.
Yeah.
But hiring's one of the most important things. If you hire quality people, life is so much easier with good people.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing y'all came in now, because we can't appoint him without family.
exactly. That being said, motion to approve Officer McNeely, and thanks for coming on board.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions for Mr. Neely or the chief? No?
Not at all.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Now I can say welcome to the best department.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And be safe out there, Eric. Can someone take a picture of these guys, please? Dan, help me with this. Yeah.
Senator Michelle should say welcome.
LT, always good to see you. Although, I'm pretty sure it was Lieutenant Mason who did most of the work. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Deputy Chief, that's right. Dude,
Oh, you gotta get the kids in there.
I'm having a tough night, Keith. I don't know what's happening.
Looking forward to seeing him included in Dan's emails.
Oh, yeah, bring him in. Yeah.
Hey, Dan, looking forward to seeing him in the emails.
Let me fix that and say, well done, Deputy Chief and Lieutenant. Chief, yeah.
Is there a computer screen?
I think so.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Be safe.
And welcome.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks, Gary. Dan, nice job as always. Stop by anytime.
Move on to the next item under appointments and resignations. That will be special police officers and traffic constables. Andrew?
Attaches a request from Police Chief Dowd asking the board to appoint the following special police officers: Fred Bott, Timothy O'Leary, Henry Plotkakis, and Stephen Humble. Traffic Constable Kyle Creelman. I recommend the board make the appointments.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions for the chief or for Andrew? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye,
Aye.
motion
Aye.
car. Okay, chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. So thank you and congratulations to Fred Bott, Timothy O'Leary, Henry Politakis, Stephen Hubble, and Kyle Creelman. The
A
last-
question for Dan now that does this fulfills what you think you need right now?
I don't know, we're anticipating doing the best we can. Work is picking up and there's people that are working more. We've also been helping Oxford out a lot. I think Mara told me, I think we had 40 details for Oxford you want to be able to fill our jobs, and if we're able to help, we help, but obviously ours, we have to prioritize our work, so having a pool of people. Now, the one good thing is if they don't work, they're not being paid, so it's not like there's a cost to that, but I gotta probably trim some of them off that haven't worked. Maybe the schedule's, 6 months down the road or a year down the road change and they're available, then we can reevaluate, but I don't need a 80-man roster or 80-person roster to get through this, but I need numbers, I need bodies.
But now, just for those watching, specials and constables, what we're talking about with details, these are jobs where they only get paid for the detail when they do the detail, and if it's a non-town detail, the town's not paying for the detail anyway. So having these people available to you is just a benefit.
Yes, sir. And the other thing is, the town does accrue a 10% administrative fee for processing those jobs, so it benefits the town to fill the jobs.
So it doesn't cost us money, we actually would
Doesn't
make money.
cost, well, I don't know if you're in the black, but you're not in the red, you
Dan, we want you to generate more revenue. No.
I think it helps, but jobs unfilled, it's more of a safety reason than an economic reason. I mean, we certainly, there's enough issues out there, and I'm trying to hire more and more people that are either previous law enforcement experience or have done traffic details before, and then Sergeant Cloutier, soon to be Lieutenant Cloutier, who left, he's implemented a process with Mass DOT to get some of the civilians up to speed. Just for liability, there's no rules in place right now. It's kind of like the Wild West, because they basically just said, you're all, the state, you're all done with having part-time people, unless they get through the Bridge Academy and do all these things that some of them weren't able to do. So we lost a lot of people that, for no fault of their own, just the rules changed.
So what you're saying is you don't want me directing traffic?
Well, I may be that desperate.
Give me a call, that'll be fine. Is there any other discussion or questions? No. All right, all those, we have the motion and the second, all those in favor?
All right. Yeah, yeah,
We already voted.
Yeah, I think we're.
This was an add-on
Yeah,
comment.
this just, yeah.
All right. Well,
But we can vote again if you want, whatever makes
I was
sense.
just trying to be rather safe than sorry. Okay. That is it for appointments and resignation. We have no scheduled appointments, right,
We
Andrew?
have,
What? One more.
we have to do the resignation.
Yeah, number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Resignation, and I am wearing the glasses. So maybe I did better with them off.
You just didn't want to see her go.
I don't, I.
well played.
Oh, it's
Well
true,
played.
I don't, it's another huge loss for the town. Number 3, resignation from the EDC, the Economic Development Commission. Andrew?
Attached is an email from Sabrina Webb resigning from the Economic Development Commission due to a scheduling conflict. Sabrina has been a great asset on the commission, and I wish her the best. The board should accept her resignation.
Motion with regret. Sabrina, you've been awesome.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
With absolute regret. Sabrina's she's moved her career on to something that's deep in her heart.
Yes,
And she's doing exceptionally well in that, so,
I
with
would-
regret,
I
yeah.
would agree. She was intelligent, and she brought a lot to the role.
Yeah.
All right. There are no scheduled appointments, correct?
Nope.
He's doing
All right.
Sorry.
Wow. Let's put the glasses back on. All right, so all those in favor, please
Aye.
say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And thank you for bearing with me. Like I said, I'm exhausted. No scheduled appointments. We move on to new business. The only item is approve host community agreement for Charlton Investments LLC, formerly Fourscore. As they are a client of mine, I will be stepping back from this, and Mr. Lancet will be handling this vote.
And Andrew?
All right, so at the board's February 13th, 2024 meeting, you approved the change in ownership from Fourscore Holdings LLC to Charlton Investments LLC. As part of that, under the new CCC regulations, a new host community agreement needed to be drafted for approval. So attached is a draft of that agreement for your review and approval.
Mr. Chairman, through you.
Go ahead.
Andrew, what's the delta between this versus what we had for Fourscore?
So, pretty much what the main change with the new host community agreements is that the state's essentially taken a lot of the ability of towns of collecting that 3% community impact fee, which was something that a lot of towns had kind of put in as a, well, you give us 3%, we'll figure out what the impact is later. To basically say the towns now have to prove that you have an impact. And in doing that, you have a 30-day window at the end of the calendar year to monetize that, create an invoice, have it approved through the Cannabis Control Commission, and then have that delivered. So they put the onus on the towns more or less through the Cannabis Control Commission to prove an impact. So that's pretty much the main difference between what the prior Cannabis Control Commission licenses are and the new, and essentially their new draft. And this essentially just follows that pro forma draft that Cannabis Control Commission's released.
That was my softball question, too, I'm not gonna lie. That being said, motion to approve.
I would make a motion for discussion, just quick. So this is the third ownership at this one site?
Correct, since they've been operating. Or second since they've
second.
Yeah,
since they
David, I'm
became
sorry, I didn't.
No, no, that's okay.
Yeah. What is the, what's the motivation, what's driving this change in ownership? You have 3 people in a year and a half.
I'd assume money.
Well, of course. it's
Yeah, I
money.
mean,
Is it, what do we think it is? Is it,
I mean, through a chair, I mean, Steve, to be honest with it, and I mean this nicely, it's gonna come out worse than it sounds. It doesn't concern me, meaning, I look at this as just, if a liquor store, or package store, changed hands 3 times, I wouldn't ask that question. You know, I mean, I would just be like, okay.
Do it myself.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, would this be an appropriate question to bring to the EDC to see if there's a pattern of behaviors or a pattern of, behind this change, and maybe they could look into it?
We look at see what the demographic trends are
Right.
throughout the Commonwealth and
See
see
if
if it's
there's-
common.
All right, so we have a motion. Since I'm fulfilling chair, do you wanna?
fine, I'd go for a vote.
You have to second.
So we have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor, aye, in chair, and I turn it back over to David.
Good job, Pete.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. That was the only thing under new business. We move on to old business. That would be BOS considers draft ATM warrant articles. Andrew?
All right, so attached, we've included the warrant articles that have been submitted for your consideration. The first thing the board should do is close the warrant, and then consider articles that have been submitted.
Andrew, can we,
Yep.
David, through you, do we, and this is just procedural, I'm just curious, because I always go back and forth on this, do we close the warrant and then take them off, or do we take them off and then close the warrant?
I think you can take them off, you just can't add any once
Okay.
the warrant's
Yeah,
closed.
yeah, if that's the case, then, Mr. Chairman, through you, I'll make a motion to officially close the warrant, so, so nothing new is getting added.
We get second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on closing the warrant? No? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Okay, well, Andrew, we have the closed, but we have not, are we going to be discussing the articles?
At the pleasure of the board, if you would like to discuss any of them this evening, I can run through them real quick if you'd like.
Do you want to just really just at least remind the people who may be watching what's on the warrant?
All right, so Article 1, town election, pretty standard. First few are pretty standard. Article 2, town reports. Article 3, litigation. Article 4, appropriation of funds for unpaid bills of a prior fiscal year, assuming that we have any. The first one we'll take up will be the fire substation debt exclusion vote. And we put these on as 2 different articles, just to differentiate between what we're authorizing as excluded amounts and a loan authorization within the levy. I know Ashley and I have worked tirelessly with DOR of trying to grant us some wording that would allow us to put it on the warrant, and they've shot us down, or not, I'm sorry, on
The
the
ballot.
warrant. On the ballot, they've shot us down with every attempt, so, Bill, you know, you are correct.
I'm sorry, what?
So
Sorry,
that-
what?
Yeah, Bill, you are correct, I had to at least give you that.
So that leaves us,
So, the wording that will be on the ballot will be an exclusion of the project. So, we can't not put a dollar value in the ballot language. So we're making it clear on the town meeting warrant that we're doing one loan authorization for the debt exclusion and one loan authorization that is not excluded. So that way we're clear as to what is excluded and what's not excluded.
Through a chair. So here's a follow-up question to that, kind of piggybacking on what Pete and Dave were talking around at the last meeting. I'm playing hypothetical. Let's say it passes at the ballot, because there's no number on it. It's just basically saying, look, you're going to exclude something. We get to town meeting. As printed now, it's the 1304 and the 3.9 rounding. If that fails, is it considered, and maybe we got to check with Jim Cosgrove about this, would it be considered a material change? Because Pete, if memory serves, you were thinking around option 4, which I think was around like 10 mil, give or take. Could we reconsider the vote, kind of like David wanted with like that option B, to do that?
I believe that anybody who is in the negative.
Yes.
So anybody who votes against it can ask to reconsider the article.
Gotcha.
So in that case, if they ask for a motion to reconsider passes, and then they can amend that
Yes.
motion with a different number.
So, again, so for those folks at home, in theory, that if this failed, only because of the amounts, and you rather have less excluded, someone who voted no could reconsider and say, again, making up a number, 10 million, and then the next article would be the other
The delta.
piece.
Yep.
So you're just basically moving numbers from one article to the next, in effect.
Yeah, in theory, yeah. Again, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I think this gives us a potential backup.
Well, now that Bill put it out there, you never know. I was just kidding.
That's what I
well,
do.
but more than likely, that would be a fall town meeting, though. We're not gonna do that in May.
No, I think we do it in May. I mean, because all we would need to do is, like later on in the meeting, we would reconsider Articles 5 and 6. Again, that's only if they failed.
Right, the reason
and
is you'll know
somebody-
before the meeting whether it passed or not.
Well, if it fails on the ballot in May,
Then it's not,
Then there's
it's
no-
dead. Like, these just get passed over.
correct. If it passes, then it's just a question of the dollars.
Correct. But we're leading with the 13-0 and 3-8 with a backup plan, which I think ties into what Pete and Dave were kind of, in a sense, talking around, like the same idea. So we do have a Plan C at this point, because Plan A was the PSB, Plan B is the substation, funding like this. Plan C is potentially funding it in a different way, only if we have to go down that path.
So then Plan D would be.
We're
if-
done.
Well, if Andrew does have, which was my preference, and I think Pete's, option 4, ready to go, there's always that we have that if we need to bring it up. If it's already written in advance, if we needed it,
Yeah, that's Plan C as far as I'm concerned. yeah.
We'd have it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, so that's kind of.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to make sure if we got to that point. Hopefully we don't.
Yeah,
but-
and again, we're just kind of, we're making sure that this approach is copacetic with
Yeah, yeah.
DOR. So, because they basically weighed in on the ballot language, but we want to make sure that there's a clear distinction between a debt excluded town meeting vote and a non-debt excluded. And that's why we put it as a loan authorization and a fund transfer, so in that
Yep.
motion, we can move the money into, that we've targeted to capital stabilization, toward that portion of the project.
Just let me say to the rest of the board, and then I'll get off my soapbox on this one. If it fails at the ballot, I'm not going to put it back on another ballot after. Like, it's done. So,
The next year.
no, done.
yeah, Bill's parting gift.
Done.
Yes.
So, I just think it's important.
I don't know, did you, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Did you, I don't know if you wanted to talk about the.
No, I was just gonna say, so I took Andrew's like 4 options and kind of tried to pass them through, bond counsel, DOR legal, or DLS legal, and tried to get as creative as we possibly could. But basically, they flat out said, the ballot is gonna vote the exclusion they can't decide the dollar amount. Town meeting has to decide the dollar amount. So we're trying it this way, so I have to run this by, the person at DOR has been out on
Yep.
vacation this week and, end of last week. So we're trying to run this by them to make sure that they're okay with us separating it. If worst case, it's a town meeting is gonna vote the dollar amount of the project, the ballot votes the exclusion, and then we have to just take the amount that we wanna do under the levy,
Gotcha.
and then just stick to that 13.04 under the, if we can't separate it, but we try to make as much possible that known to the townspeople, that that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to do anything different. This is the route we wanna go. It's just how we have to do it on the warrant will be up to them if they're gonna pass it or not.
Well, fingers crossed that they actually,
Yeah.
see it this
So
way.
that's why we put a placeholder of the 2 articles on here for now, and if worst case scenario, if it has to be one, we can separate out the wording in there that part of it will be under our levy limit and part of it will be part of the exclusion, and we have to do it in one vote, then we'll do it in one vote. But at least now we have the 2 while the warrant's open if we needed it.
Yeah, whoever's chair next year should be able to, should be ready to speak to that at the meeting.
Yeah.
And just say, this is what we're looking
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah, we're trying to get as creative as possible since we couldn't put, I really harped on them and said, I know like our people really wanted to see the dollar amount, like that was the big discussion from
Yeah, just
last time,
can't.
and they're like, yeah, no, we can't.
Yep.
So, they're very adamant. I tried every possible question I could twist it, so.
So we just have to be
they're-
very, very clear in the next few months.
Yeah,
about,
so
like, what
they
we're
were
doing.
very
once-
clear,
yeah.
right, yeah, that the ballot only approves the exclusion, so it's either yes or no, whether you wanna exclude it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then the townspeople at town meeting have to vote the project.
When do you, David, through you again, when do you think we're gonna hear back from DOR?
So they actually do this new thing, which is really cool. Every Wednesday, they do like an Ask the Chief.
Nice.
So you could sit in on like a Zoom, and you can literally like live speak through Zoom, but it's live, with a member of the legal team. So whoever, I don't know if it's the actual chief of the legal team there, I think it is. That's why I logged in last week, and that's how we found that out. And, so I'm gonna do that again tomorrow, so hopefully I can have an answer tomorrow.
All right.
And if not, if I have to circle back with bond counsel or somebody else at DOR, then hopefully they're back,
So we should have a final answer for our discussion on March 26th at the latest.
I would hope so, yeah.
Good enough for me.
You know, just gonna put it out there. After you're done, you're gonna do that weekly podcast, Ask Bill?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm just gonna make fun of you guys.
Just wanna be clear.
Just saying.
All right, so moving on anyway, so Article 7 will be our
Thanks, Ash.
inter and interdepartmental transfers for the current fiscal year. Article 8 will be any capital items or related contracts that aren't previously considered. Article 9 will get into town budget, and then water department budget, sewer department budget. And then transfer funds to or from stabilization accounts. Article 13 will be the funding for the cemetery perpetual care fund. Article 14, and maybe for the last time, will be the approval of the revolving funds. There is some language that's being considered that may only have to be considered annually if there's a change to the dollar threshold. So we'll see. It'll be at least through this year.
I would love it.
Article 15 is the follow-up to the bylaw amendment for Board of Selectmen instead of, or to replace the term Board of Selectmen instead of Select Board within the general bylaws.
Is there a question from Mr. Lancet?
Well, not a question, a statement, and, at the time when this was presented, I objected to it, and I still object to it, and, as we further learned after that meeting, this topic had not been discussed, in a board meeting, and I'm not opposed to the gender neutrality of the term, I just wish we had a discussion so we could have had better language presented to the state for this. My one concern, or one area of, I did receive concerns about was actually select board. Could we have come up with another name for the board, executive board, administrative board, which we don't know because we didn't have a discussion. The other thing area that I wish we could have better language is in the language, it's known or stated that the members would be known as members of the select board. There's no reason why we could not observe gender neutrality and said the members will be known as either selectmen or select women and still been inappropriate. So I honestly believe that this was rushed through. We did not discuss it. As somebody who's a nurse, which is a feminine background, I have worked with this my whole career, known as the male nurse. There's other there's other connotations, as an Esquire that has male connotations, but females work in it. I do recognize this is an important issue. With that being said, I would like to make a motion to table this to the fall so that we could properly evaluate the name of the board and have some meaningful discussion around it before we do a bunch of changes that we, at one point, we want to undo.
I was thinking of a
So-
discussion.
No, I was just gonna say, just to be clear, and I believe if I understand you correctly, you're simply asking us to move it to the fall meeting so we can discuss language.
Yes, I do agree that the topic is important, but I don't agree on how it was written, and I think that we would have to refile with the state to change what was approved, so I do want a motion in a second, yeah.
Chair, through you. Andrew, where do we stand on the state approving the initial one? Did they sign off on it yet?
It has not gone to the governor's desk yet, no.
That's my hesitation, in that even though I supported this and kind of still do, even as is, to be honest with you, I'm a little uncomfortable signing off on this until we get clarification from the state that they signed off as is, because hypothetically, depending upon the language, even though it may not happen, the AG's office could say, well, no, you need to change X, Y, or Z, and then we would have to vote on this in May, if it passes, then we would have to vote on it in the fall again to fix it anyway. So I suppose where I'm getting at is that I agree with Pete for different reasons, that I'd rather wait until the state signs off on it before we ask town meeting voters to potentially sign off on it twice, depending upon what comes back. So it's the same end, just a different path, if
So
that makes sense.
correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but it's already been passed. This is simply gonna be a question of then, out of respect to other members of the board, moving it to the next town meeting so we can simply have a discussion over language and, what was it, the governor's office or the AG's?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it has to go through,
I just wanna make sure that the audience knows.
Right,
Yeah.
so legal counsel from the state, we saw this with the, when we looked to increase the special
Yeah.
police officers up to 70, where they kind of came back a couple of times and they said, we don't really like this language,
Yeah.
we want you to just tweak it a little bit, and tweak it a little bit. And it actually went through 2 legislative sessions
Yep.
before it finally went through. So it's not to say that through the process that the state's legal counsel won't make any slight amendments to this. They might ask for the board member to be dropped or something
Right.
like that.
So worst case scenario, it's just a 3-month delay and it
Correct.
goes on fall.
Right. And in that case, you guys can have your deliberations and decide to affirm the position.
no, it's not a financial issue. I mean, again, even though Pete and I have the same end result, we're just different paths. I'm honestly, even though I support even as is on this, I'm fine waiting until October. Or,
So, is
or the
the-
fall.
So,
But
I
town-
just wanna be
town
clear.
meeting already voted yes.
Right, this isn't.
To
a que-
petition
it's-
the state.
Correct, so for Mr. Cronus and those watching, and Andrew will correct me if I'm wrong, but the motion and second was just made, doesn't undo this. It's already passed. It's just a question of wanting to make sure that the language in the bylaw that we're gonna change is gonna be correct and is gonna be okay with the AG and everybody else. And once it's all cleared and worked out, it just goes on the fall.
So,
But it's already been passed.
for another perspective, would you rather be known as a member of the select board or a selectman? Because the language that was submitted, the members would be known as the member of the select board. So we could still have the gender neutrality if we change the language that we submitted to members would be known as selectmen or selectwoman.
Correct. In other words, it's already passed. It's already become the board of, the select
Select
board.
board.
It's already done. Yeah, to Pete's point, this would be simply making sure that the language is gonna pass muster and everything else.
To Pete's comment, we already have a second on this?
Yes.
For discussion, yeah.
Yeah.
So, to Pete's comment, yeah, this was a little rushed, and I think, I don't think we had enough time to discuss it, so a delay doesn't really hurt anything.
It's just going to fall, that's all.
Yeah, that's all. I'm fine with that. I was under the impression that we could retain our normal titles, selectman or selectwoman, or that's not the case.
As a member of the select board, not the board of selectmen.
Right.
So we're just gonna make sure that everything is legit, that the language is fine, that the AG's
Well,
office
yeah.
is fine, and it just goes on in the fall instead.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussions, comments? So then if I'm, again, this is to postpone this article to the fall?
Postpone
What was
or-
the motion?
Or
You could say
remove.
Remove from the warrant.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to remove Article 15 from the warrant.
Yeah, second, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
With the, pardon me, with discussion, with the assumption that we're gonna do it in the fall.
right,
So we're gonna put through our workshops or whatever.
right. Okay. Any other comments on it, or?
No,
All those
I'm
in
fine
favor,
with that.
please say aye.
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 Opposed? Chair votes aye, right? Motion carries unanimously.
So Article 16 will be to accept Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5C and a half. That's the increase to the real estate exemptions as approved by the board. Article 17 is to amend Mass General Law, Chapter 59, 5C, 41C. This basically is an increase for gross receipts for exemptions. It's to increase the minimum amount that people need to make in order to qualify for the, for some of these local exemptions.
So what would an example of a local exemption be?
Let's see.
I don't mean to put you on the
No,
spot.
no, it's all
but
right.
know people are-
I
people are
was not
gonna-
prepared for this one. and
People
I
are
am
gonna
sorry.
ask and they're gonna
Yes.
wanna know. Thank you,
No
Andrew.
problem. Let me
So I
just
noticed
try to-
it's estate limits and the
Yep.
thing about being single versus married.
Right. I
It's just
apologize.
a more of a, I think, informative for people in town.
Right.
How this may or may not affect them.
Mhm.
And if we don't
mind,
have.
Let me bring this back, because,
Yeah, honestly.
I apologize, it was so
No.
voted by the
No,
Board of
that- and it's fine,
Assessors.
and I
Yeah.
wasn't asking you to motions to or
No.
for, but just, we can
Typically-
explain it later. Just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to tell the public what this is gonna.
Right.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you're gonna do that cool PowerPoint that you've been doing.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
you can explain on that.
We're gonna
Just
do
haven't
a
had a chance to
weekly,
get too far
weekly
into this one.
podcast, it's gonna be Ask Andrew.
See?
Maybe stumble through it.
Don't be stealing my audience.
All right, so Article 18 was, as requested by the board, the bylaw amendment to establish the position of the finance director within the Department of, really to establish the Department of Municipal Finance. I have Jim Cosgrove looking into this one. He provided some guidance that this may require a ballot vote to initiate because there's no section of law that the town is adopting. So we have another question with DOR to get a little bit more guidance on this, but if it requires a ballot vote, I assume that the board would look to probably table this to next year. But again, pending whether or not that.
If
that's
it's
the
just a
answer.
language change, would we have to table it, or could we just amend it on the floor for the language change?
If it does not require a ballot vote, I think that we just are able to get the language in there.
Okay.
We saw similar with the adoption of the human resources bylaw, that did not require a ballot vote. And I think that's where we're kind of going a little bit back and forth of just trying to say, does this really require a ballot to adopt?
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
And again, this doesn't, the way that it's written does not change any of our procedures. It basically just codifies the procedures and establishes the positions.
Gotcha, thank you.
Article 19 was requested by the Water and Sewer Commission. They are pursuing potential acquisition of land on Bay Path Road, so they would, looking for an article to authorize the town to allow them to effectuate that purchase.
Just through you, David, I mean, I know that it's the water sewer, and I defer to their, we're not talking eminent domain on this, right? They're just saying
No.
that they can make an offer?
This is not an eminent domain.
Okay,
This is
good. I
actually
just-
one that they have an option to purchase on
Okay.
currently. They've been testing it for water and can have that option, but in order to move forward, a town meeting vote may be
Good.
needed.
All right, that's
So
cool. Yeah.
They found a reasonable source on that road? or
They feel that they have
feel like
a
they're
source.
comfortable with that?
Yep.
Obviously.
No, you talk through it.
It's been a long time coming working on
Yeah,
water.
it is. Yeah.
And then the last three articles are all zoning bylaw amendments. One for a change from agriculture to residential, to community business. Another one for subdivision bylaw changes, and another one for to adopt a bylaw relative to large-scale solar systems.
Not my.
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not my circus, but I'm dying to see Article 22 because, yeah, not a huge fan of any more large-scale solar in town.
Yeah. Specifically batteries, I should say.
Yeah,
Large
batteries, yeah.
Yes. All right, and that's it.
Is it anything from anybody else on that? No?
Only I'm not adding, outside of emergency, I'm not adding anything back in.
Okay. Well, we did already close it, correct?
Yep.
All right, so then we would move on to, if I'm not mistaken, policy review, and there are none. So it would be student select persons report. Madeline Parker.
Okay, so, starting in athletics, congratulations to the winter cheer team for placing third at the MSAA D1 state championships. I believe that was the last of their competition, so congratulations, girls. As winter sports wrap up, that's why there isn't much on the athletics section today. Spring sports are starting, and you can register, or a student can register at shepherdhillathletics.com to try out for a team. In the arts, once again, the Triumph Honor Society is hosting a musical bingo game night on March 28th for students at Shepherd Hill. Players have a chance to win up to $150 in categories like trending, retro hits, Disney, and Y2K pop. For school-wide, the NHS Jeopardy tournament has been moved to April 11th. Shepherd Hill students can sign up to compete against their favorite teachers in different categories, like our principal, Mr. Elwell, and pop culture, which I'm sure will be a very hard game against him. As we know, prom is coming up very fast, and many people are already starting to get their dresses. However, prom can be expensive for a dress that you only wear for one night. So the Prom Closet at the Barton Center in Oxford is an organization that lends free prom dresses to any girl who makes an appointment there. Whether your financial situation limits your ability to purchase a dress, or you're hesitant to spend hundreds of dollars on a single dress, or you're just interested in sustainable fashion, making an appointment with them may relieve a financial burden many students face in the current economic situation, which is open to students from any school. So I just thought that would be a good thing to add there.
Cool.
And that's it.
I would say thank you. I think
Thanks,
that's
Mel.
actually very cool.
Yeah,
It's a little late for me.
sorry about that.
Not personally, my daughters. So,
Yeah, I was gonna start questioning him.
Way late for you.
but yeah, they can be
Dollars,
expensive. And I
yeah.
see people on Facebook all the time who are then reselling the
Yeah,
dresses for a lower
yeah.
amount. I think that they can get one for free
Mhm.
is a wonderful thing. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, Jacob.
So, as of today, the school is looking for community involvement in a strategic action planning committee
Oh, cool.
that will take action to set and achieve goals and bringing positive change to the school. This can include teachers or staff members, parents or guardians, alumni of the school, school committee members, administrators, or students. And then the English MCAS for sophomores will be next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. Furthermore, there is a new club at the school that will deal with writing a newsletter for the school. It'll also deal with creative writing and journalism. And then lastly, for this section, the school year will be coming to an end soon, so guidance will be coordinating the course selections. And then the NHS applications have closed last Friday, and the Skills USA district competition will be tomorrow. Lastly, the baseball and softball season is starting with tryouts for softball being on March 18th from 4:15 to 6 p.m. and on March 19th from 2:30 to 4:15 in the gym.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jacob. I love the idea of a newsletter. Are you thinking about joining?
Oh, it was my idea.
Good man. That's what I like. Make it political.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. The next item would be the town administrator's report. Andrew,
All right,
if
just,
you would, please.
no problem, just a few things for tonight. So library roof, we did get bids on the library roof project. JD Rivet was awarded the bid as the lowest and responsive and responsible bidder. The total bid price for the work awarded was $252,000 for that.
Can you remind me how we're paying for that?
That was a
I
two,
just can't remember.
free cash authorization.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, thank you.
One, when we thought we had an idea on
Yeah,
it
that's
once when
right,
we
yeah.
got the revised amount. So it is under the amount of, that was budgeted for.
Thank you.
And then just congratulations to Charlton Police Department on being awarded $17,000 under the
Nice.
SISM program, which provides crisis intervention system, or services to emergency services. Charlton Police Department is the host agency for the Southern Worcester County under this program, so good job, Chief.
Chief, you guys are killing it. No, seriously though, you guys are like killing it on grants lately. Well done. That's awesome.
Well, Andrew, actually, other business unknown is also going to be through you, right?
Yes, sorry, we have one more resignation to address tonight. So, attached is a letter from Jacqueline Bonner, who is resigning her position as Assistant Town Accountant effective March 21st, 2024. She is leaving us to become the town accountant for the town of Warren. Jacqueline's been a great asset to the town, and definitely wish her well on her future endeavors, but the board should accept her resignation.
With regret, and congrats on the promotion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments?
With regret, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I will agree with my fellow board members and congratulate you, I guess, also on the upward mobility.
Yep.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries unanimously. Andrew, would you please make sure they all get a thank you?
Will do.
Sign that,
Mr. Chair, one quick question for Andrew.
knock yourself out.
So, long story short, I hear the school committees could be finalizing their budget tomorrow night. When should we meet with them again? Like, do we have that on the map? I honestly don't remember.
We don't have anything scheduled with them.
Okay.
So far, we got their projected
Yeah.
assessments last Wednesday,
Mhm.
and they kind of gave us two runs, and I think that they discussed both of those at the last budget subcommittee meeting.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure in watching that which direction they're really going to vote, but I would say that we should look to probably meet back with them beginning of next month
Okay.
at some point.
Yeah, to the
At
rest
least
of
with finance, probably as a joint meeting with finance,
yeah, to the rest of my,
Scheduled, don't we?
with finance.
Finance, Board of Selectmen meeting at least, and they can come to that one.
Okay.
yeah, it'll work. Yeah, to the rest of the board members, I mean, this is just my quick diatribe on that I don't want to go through what we did last year. And again, to all my school committee colleagues, I know that you're in a tough spot again this year, but if you can figure out what you're doing with Dudley first, it'll make our lives easier when it comes to budgeting, so. Good luck with it.
And any indication on where Dudley stands on this, so we don't know?
I'm sure they have an idea where it would be lower than what is being proposed, but how
Yeah.
low, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I have no insight into Dudley's decision-making process. Anything else unknown? No? Well, the next meeting will be March 26th, 2024. And there is nothing left on our agenda.
Cool. Basha, feel better? Motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone.
David and Pete, great job chairing.